Welcome to Blowing Solutions Wide Open, where we're talking about all things spiritual, as well as creating new systems in the area of healthcare, finance, government, education, new environmental practices, and anything that helps the planet or helps humanity. My name is Addie Halkin. If you think that you have ideas or things to share in any of those areas, email me at blowingsolutionswideopen@gmail.com or type the word guest in the comment section of my video, and I'll be happy to get back with you and potentially have you come on here and share with people what you know. Also, please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content or you have an interest in getting alternative information out to more people. So I want to take a quick moment today and really give a special introduction to a great guest. Her name is Ronnie Ryan. She is a MBA, CCC, intuitive life coach, and a wise woman working with midlife women ready to rise up to the next level. She has a fresh, transformative approach to spiritual growth and personal development based on embracing joy, creativity, and magic to help you create a life you love. Known for cutting through the cosmic fluff, Ronnie's practical, simple methods help you conquer uncertainty, move forward, and experience the magic all around you. She is the host of the popular mystic podcast, Breathe, Love, and Magic, which ranks in the top 5% globally. She's also a best-selling author with 6 books. She has appeared on ABC, NBC, Fox, NPR, BBC, Yahoo News, and MSN.com. She's been a coach for over 20 years. That's quite a resume.
Well, if you live long enough, you have a lot to talk about.
You're very good at talking. Thank you so much for joining me. I instantaneously, when I started listening to you, this was a while ago, but I was listening to you on a podcast, and I really
Ah,
instantaneously liked what I was hearing. I think the thing that stood out to me the most is when you talk about cutting through the cosmic fluff, because I also have been, around the spiritual stuff for a lot of years, and I'm trying to watch my words here because I don't want to sound too negative, but I often find myself getting a little annoyed with the fluffy end of things. Not because things need to always be practical or logical at all, just because I feel like there's a balance to be struck. And one of the things that you wrote on your website, I went on there, you said that you use your intuitive gifts to look for practical solutions to life and business challenges rather than gathering esoteric knowledge. And I was wondering if you could explain that a little bit,
sure.
like the esoteric knowledge thing. And
Some people just like to learn,
okay,
and they don't care if they use the information or not. It's enough for them to just learn and be exposed to all kinds of things. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just not my way of moving through the world. My way is when I have a problem, I want to fix it. Whatever I can do to speed up the process, to get through it faster, I know life is a journey, but if I can take a direct route, that's my choice.
absolutely.
So that's what I really mean. So some people just like to collect information. And one time I took a Kabbalah class, and the guy who was leading it had to be away for a couple of weeks. And he asked me if I would just teach something for the 2 sessions he would be missing. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to. And when he introduced that to the class, instead of saying, I've asked Ronnie to take over for me for 2 weeks, he said, Ronnie volunteered to take over to teach, and he mentioned my topics. So it sounded like I was coming to take over, where he asked me to do him a favor. And the people they didn't want to know anything about what I was going to talk about past lives and something. And they were all freaked out and threatened and, oh my God, and because they didn't want to know anything that they could actually use. It was my experience. Like, they wanted to hear the stories. They wanted to learn some stuff about Kabbalah, but they wanted to take notes, but they just wanted to collect knowledge. And that's up to them. I'm not in charge. But that's not what I do.
I thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's funny that you bring that up because I was gonna ask you, I'm a bit of an impatient type. I don't like to admit it, but I am. And so I want somebody like you. I want somebody where, we're going to get there the quickest way possible. And I know that's not through just collecting knowledge. So yeah, okay. So that's kind of answered my question as far as like, how do you guide people in the quickest fashion possible?
Well, it's just my nature.
Okay.
So it's not like I have to turn it on or, it's just what I come up with. It, my hope is that it's your best route for your highest good. That's what I'm looking for anyway.
Absolutely.
That's
Very
that's
good.
my that's what headset I'm wearing.
Good, good. We need those. Um, on your website, I also read that oh, this is funny because I was reading about what you wrote about ascension and kind of
Oh,
laughing. It's funny because um you busted my bubble a little bit, but it wasn't a bad thing. I know you're right. Um, you talked about how you you're kind of tired of hearing about it. And that you said something to the extent of you're talking about how we're always talking about the 3D to the 5D, and you're not sure what happened to the 4D, which kind of cracked me up. I've had the same question. But I guess my question to you is do you have any sense as far as like I know, when it comes to like spiritual knowledge, when people are throwing out dates, I always just turn around and walk away because at least for me, I don't get downloads and intuition that way. Um, but do you have any sense of like, um, I don't want to say a timeline, but I just hope this doesn't go on forever, this transitional period. Do you have any sense on that?
oh, all right. So, this is such a fascinating question, and you can listen to. I've listened to a lot of stuff on this
Yeah.
topic, and if you listen to Bashar, I don't know if you've heard of him,
Hmm.
but Bashar feels it's imminent, as many people do, that this change is imminent. And we're going to be going through this change where, he claims that there's two paths and, where they're going to split off. And I'm just thinking, I'm just too practical. I'm too grounded for that idea. And from a spiritual perspective, I don't believe that. To me, an advancement would be about unity,
Yeah.
not splitting off. I don't understand that. That's the guidance that he gets. And it doesn't mean he's wrong. We just have different opinions. And until it happens, we'll have to keep you posted. But I feel like what he's talking about, I mean, wouldn't that be a great solution if all the people that thought like us went one way and all the people that thought like those other people went another way, and then we wouldn't have to deal with each other? Oh, you won't see each other or whatever. And I'm thinking, if we live in the same neighborhood and you have children going to school, the kids are going to go to school, and then we're going to have to see them at pickup. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That there's going to be two Earths? It makes my head explode, and I think it's complete and utter nonsense. Not only that, but that would not be evolvement, in my opinion. Just an opinion, of course. I have no authority here. But evolvement is when you have unity. Evolvement is when we come together to finally work as humanity for the good of the whole, not split off.
Yeah.
Like that makes no sense to me. So I think what's going on right now, personally, who knows, is that we're having a big shakeup.
Yeah.
And what I see it doing is uniting people to come together to try to do something about it. That's what I see. I see a catalyst that has the potential to, that not his intention, not the government's intention, but it could help, and it might not, but it could help foster a sense where people try to get together to make the changes that they want. So I don't really know if it's imminent. I think that ascension is from within,
Yeah.
and everybody has a different process and timeline. So I don't really think it's all going to be done in the next 5 years and whoo, thank God that's over with. I personally think this is a process that's going to take decades. But how we live through our own decades of this is what you can take charge of, so you can decide. And this is what's so amazing, I hope you don't mind me going on and on about this
No,
question.
no.
What's so amazing about this is I would say for the last 4 or 5 years, most of the time when I say, well, what's the most important thing that I can do right now? And I always hear the same thing. And I'm like, come on, always the same thing, almost always. And that is find fun, enjoy yourself, do things you love. Now, what is that about? First of all, that's good for you. Why you're here to enjoy yourself, why not? But that also raises your vibration. So the more time you spend finding things that make you smile and doing things that make you happy, the better off you are, because you're going to have to deal with challenges and you're going to face transitions and things are going to change because that's what life is. Can't change that. Okay. But what you can do is focus on what you can do to have fun while you're going through all that other stuff. And it's funny because as time is progressing in this last 5 years, more and more people I'm seeing are starting to say that.
Right.
That's what now, maybe I'm picking up on that because that's the guidance I get. So like attracts like, and I'm seeing more of that. That's also possible, but that's how I feel. So I have no idea about the timeline. And when people start talking about, oh, we're living on different timelines, I'm like, I don't know, maybe you are, but I don't know. My clock says XYZ. That's my timeline. Like and it's possible that they say you're flipping back and forth between different timelines. I'll tell you a good story. I was on a Zoom call with a number of other podcasters, and we were all sharing stories about our podcast, blah, blah. And then we got into the wacky stuff. And I brought something up. And I said, this weird thing happened to me today. I had my coffee cup, which I usually do, in front of me, and then I have my keyboard, and then I have the computer screen. And I usually have it in front of me because I can put my hands around it and just type, and then it's right here and I can drink. And so I'm typing and I'm drinking, I'm typing, I'm drinking, and then suddenly my coffee cup is not there. So I got a little weirded out, and I'm like, all right, maybe I walked into another room with it and I just forgot. So I went looking for it, but no, it wasn't on my desk and it wasn't in another room. And I'm like, okay, that's so weird. And then I'm like, all right, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to sit down. So I just start typing again. And then I took a drink of my coffee. Where'd the cup come from? Okay, so that's such a bizarre, weird story. I can't even believe I'm telling your audience that. But I said to these other podcasters, I'm like, what happened? And so, any ideas? And so somebody said, well, you might have slipped into another timeline. And you took your coffee with you. I'm like, I don't know. That's just crazy. So I really have no idea what that was about. Maybe I just had some weird brain lapse thing. I have no idea. But the whole group, they all told their wacky stories. So maybe they really are timelines. My whole thing is I don't know what to do with that, so I just choose to ignore it.
I like that. You have a very down to earth approach.
Yeah, you could say that.
An open-minded approach. Like, you're not saying it's one or the other. You're just open-minded. And I really like what you have to say about when you were listening to Bashar. I totally agree with you. That whole theory has always felt weird to me.
Well, Bashar has plenty of wisdom, so I don't want to pick on him. That's just something I don't understand about what he's saying,
I'm highly intuitive, and for me, I have to turn him off. Not because I don't like him, just because there's something about what he's channeling that
it doesn't work for you. Well, there's a resonance that's missing. I find that the information has a resonance, and sometimes it doesn't mesh.
Yeah, I actually, I think the information is okay. There's some kind of feel to whatever, some channelers, they don't discern what they're channeling, maybe. I don't know, but to each their own. But yeah, so that's interesting. I like your theories on that. Very, very, very comfortable, I think, and like, realistic. So I noticed that you offer 4 different services: intuitive coaching, intuitive readings, past life regression, and then the fourth one is like soul intelligence, TM, energetic clearing. Can you
Yeah.
explain that one? Because I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. Well, the first thing I just want to correct, if you don't mind, is I
Sure.
do past life readings.
Oh, readings. Okay.
Yeah. And there's
Okay.
a difference because I don't do hypnosis and I don't take you through your whole life. And even when I do a reading, I don't start with birth and go to death. I just focus on what's going on in your life right now that you want to know the past life thing. So I just want to clear that up.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, soul intelligence, bioenergetic healing. So it's interesting. I use a pendulum and a book of charts. And the first chart includes all the other charts. So that's how you know where to go. But it's a very intuitive process. You have to ask questions so you can get the pendulum to work for you. And what you're doing is looking for any stuck energy that's in your field or in your body. A lot of times, it could be anything because it could be mental, it could be ancestral, it could be past life, it could be emotional, it could be anything. It could be trauma. And through the use of the pendulum going in a circle, the intention is to release it and clear it out. And so that's called bioenergetic healing, which is a term that came from, I can't remember who, in the 50s. I think it was a German man who developed this idea that you would have energy potentially stuck in your field. So it's a pretty amazing thing. And it's a small group of people who know about it because Christine Genovese, who came up with this idea, is just now getting underway in a bigger way to teach the whole process. And she just wrote a book, and she's starting to do podcasts, and she has her program, and she's really starting to market it. I took it. I was in the beta class from 2 years ago, so it's a very cool thing.
Okay. So the actual theory of it is the energy shifts based off the pendulum motion.
Yes, whatever you find. So it's amazing what it'll find, and it can be very accurate. So it might, let's say, I'm just going to make something up. So
Okay.
let's say my knee hurts. And so you say, okay, so you start at the beginning chart and say, why does my knee hurt? And it goes to core challenge. And the core challenge might be, let me look at my book. The core challenge might be, I can't think of it. Problems with authority. I'm just making it up. So then you say, okay, well, where did this start? And then you go to another chart that says, was it in this life? Was it in a past life? Was it in a parallel life? Was it, so you try to identify where. And then you say, all right, well, what's at the bottom of this? And then you go to another chart that says, oh, well, you had a trauma from such and such. And so then it just takes you on it's like a detective hunt,
Yeah.
You're kind of hunting through, looking for the core and the basis of whatever created the situation so that you can release it and let it go. And so it's fascinating because then, you'll say, do you relate to any of this? And they go, yeah, when I was 4, da 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 da, So
Yeah.
it's really amazing. And then one time I did with a nature path because I was hoping she might refer some clients to me. And the weirdest thing was there's a chart that says nutritionally what you might need, which I don't go to for everybody. I just go wherever it takes me. So I went to that chart and it said she needed salt. And I'm like, Lord, do I have to tell this nature path she needs salt? Really? I mean, but that's what it said. And I said, this is a little odd, but I'm just going to say pendulum says you need salt. She goes, you can't imagine. I put so much salt in my water. Nobody else can drink my water. That's very accurate. Da, 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 da. I was like, what?
Wow.
So, and that's just weird, but it was true.
Right. Very cool. Excellent. Excellent. You talk about I think maybe your niche is midlife women, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you work with other types of clients?
Oh, of course. I could,
I thought
I could definitely, you have to pick somebody to market to.
Yeah.
But I definitely work with more women than men. The vast majority. And that's because women are very into personal development
Yeah.
and they buy 75% of all personal development books.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still true, but it has been true in the past, so I'd have to check it. But so women are very involved with their growth and
Right.
they're interested in their growth. And so, and as a woman, I'd love to work with women. But once in a while I work with a man.
Very cool. Good, good. Awesome. Well, I'm going to put actually all your books in the description of this video.
Oh, you are? Because they're
Yeah, I mean,
most okay.
if you want, but so that make just to make sure people know how to find you.
Okay.
You're definitely out
Most of
there.
my books are about dating because I was a dating coach for 20 years.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So most of my books are about dating.
Okay. Um, I read a little bit about, I think, was it General Mills or I forget
Foods.
which one?
Foods, general foods.
General Foods. Okay.
Yeah.
How did that happen where you kind of left the corporate world and found this?
All right. It was a long journey, but I started in advertising and I always wanted to be in advertising. And I was in advertising for 3 years. And then I thought, I'm more interested. I was doing the artwork part. And I thought, maybe I'm more interested in the strategy. So that's when I went and got my MBA. And then I went to work at General Foods. I did an internship there and I went there and I worked on Maxwell House Coffee and Bird's Eye Vegetables. And I worked there for 7 years and I do not fit in the corporate world. I don't know how I survived there that long. I was very unhappy, although I learned so much. I really learned a lot, but I just didn't fit in. And my mother had been in the corporate world first as a secretary, but my father owned his own business, so there was an entrepreneurial spirit. So I had I had already freelanced in my youth, and I didn't want to go get another job, and I didn't know what to do, so I decided to freelance for a while. So I freelanced for 10 years, which was amazing because it was at a time when freelance was a new territory, and I did very well. And I had a lot of freedom. Sometimes I only worked 4 days a week. Oh my God, it was so awesome. And then the towers came down in New York,
Yeah.
which cut everybody's marketing budget.
Ah,
Yeah. So who got cut was the freelance. So then I have to think, okay, now what do I want to do? And I had a friend who said, you should check out this coaching thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then I went to coaching school in 2002. So I was kind of in the first wave.
okay.
There were no dating coaches. Well, maybe Evan Mark Katz. He was just starting to work at Match.com.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and so, I think we started at about the same time, but that's really it in the country. There was no such thing as dating coaching. And but to me, I had just gone through this big thing of in the end of the 90s looking for a husband because I just got really serious. I hadn't dated very much since college and I had this big gap of when I was dating. So anyway, I thought, oh, this is going to be perfect for dating. And that's what happened. So there, but because when I was trying to date, there was hardly anything to read. I mean, hardly anything. So, so that's how I ended up in coaching. And then on the same path, starting when I left my corporate job, I ended up having some free time. So I started taking a ton of classes. And I became a Reiki master. I took psychometry, intuition, past lives, blah, 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 blah. I took tons and tons and tons of classes. So from 1990 forward, I had a dual path where I was doing business stuff and then I was doing spiritual stuff. So that's kind of how I got to where I got. And then when I came into coaching, that was a great avenue for all of my spiritual stuff and then everything I learned in the coaching world. They kind of meshed really well together. And then finally, because of COVID, I let go of the dating stuff and I'm just focusing now on the spiritual stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Isn't it funny? COVID changed a lot of people in a lot of ways. So,
Oh, that is so true. I mean, some dating coaches, the younger ones mostly, their businesses blew up
oh,
and they just, went wild.
huh.
But mine just went, it just tanked. So,
Well,
right, it's
there
time
were
for a
other
change.
plans for you.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Me and Madonna, we remake ourselves all the time.
No, I love when people have been around it for a while. Um, it's good that there's so much explosion of people in the spiritual um industry, but I think those that have been around a little while, often have a little bit more balance about it. So, that's awesome.
Possibly.
Do you have any, I know that you can't, maybe give away too many details, but do you have any good client stories or favorite client stories?
Well, give me an idea or a topic about what you want to hear.
Oh, okay. Maybe stories where either like, you know, how you were talking about wacky things that have happened, or just stories where you've seen huge transformation in someone.
Okay. All right. Let me think about that. Um, some of my best stories are the past life readings, to tell you the
Are
truth.
they?
I'll tell you a couple of those while I'm trying to think of some other ones for you.
Okay.
So, one of the things that I learned doing past life work was you have to say it, even if you think it's weird, which was really good practice for any kind of intuitive work, right?
Yeah.
So, one time this woman came to me. I used to work at psychic fairs ages ago, and she was a young Japanese woman. I could tell by her name because she had to hand me a slip of paper. That's how the process worked, and so I could tell her last name was Japanese. So anyway, she wanted to know about her most recent incarnation, and I saw that she had been a American sailor, Navy guy, and died in Pearl Harbor. So I told her that, and she said, "Yeah, I don't know." And why am I so afraid of drowning? And I'm like, you know, he drowned because of the boat. Why am I so afraid of fireworks and loud noises and explosions? I'm like, well, you know, and it was so fascinating to me because all I could think of was an incredible, brave soul. Not, came back to understand the culture that was her demise or his demise at the time, came back as a woman. I just found that so fascinating. One of my other favorite stories was a woman who was, I didn't know what she did for a living, and she wanted to know what I saw for her. I saw her with rats, and I'm like, I don't know, you're kind of like the Pied Piper. I see all these rats coming behind you, like you're walking, and you're kind of, I don't know, I don't understand, but so anyway, of course, she was a, she worked in a lab rat as a, doing psychological, experiments. They called her the rat lady. I just thought that was so funny. And the last one, this is another thing that, it's hard to say, but there was a woman, and she wanted to know, as one of them, I can't remember what, but it was something about her past life. And I said, I see you as a man with another man who was your father, and you were tiger trainers in the palace in one of the palaces in India. And you brought the entertainment with the tigers. You took care of the tigers. You had a relationship with tigers. And this is one of those readings where deadpan, like she never said a word. I had no
Oh.
feedback the whole time. And I'm thinking, oh my. So anyway, at the end I said, so did any of this resonate with you? Oh, she said, I couldn't believe you said the tiger thing, because that anytime anybody says, oh, what's your favorite animal? I'm like, tigers. I love tigers. It's like, oh my gosh. So I definitely struck a chord with her, and I had some other things that she was fascinated with. So those are really, really fun stories.
Yeah.
So let's see. In terms of working with my clients, well, a lot of times it's the simplest stuff that makes the big transitions. Like I was working with another coach, and she was a young coach, but she was doing super well. But she just got really stuck, and she didn't know which way to go with her business, because her instinct was she wanted to train coaches in her method, because she was getting like 15 grand for 6 months. So it was nice pay. And she thought the best thing to level up her business was to train other coaches to do that. And the other option was group work. And so I tuned in for her, and I'm like, the only option was group work. That other thing wasn't going to happen now. Maybe it was a future plan, but if she wanted to scale right now, that was not the way to go. And so I told her, I said, you got to do the group work because nobody's going to want to pay that much to the people you train. They're going to want you for that much money, but I don't think that's going to fly. And it's going to take a long time to train people.
Yeah.
And so you won't be able to scale in the same, anytime quickly. So we kept talking about it. I'm like, you have resistance. I see you have resistance. Talk to me about what's going on for you. And what it turned out to be was merely a matter of timing. And so once she realized, she just kept thinking, I can't do it in September. I can't do it in September. And once she said that out loud, it just loosened the whole thing up. So she realized, but I could do it in November. And it just turned it around and opened things right up. And that's the path she took. But that's the path that had the energy. The other path had no energy during this time. It could be that she's going to get there, but that was, and that's one of those things like the opening can happen. You don't know what's going to, create that opening, but can really happen in a moment. When they say you make a decision in a moment and then everything can change. So that's one of my intuitive client.
I can really relate with that, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, good.
just, it's something very small. You just got to recognize it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then I've worked with attorneys. I have one attorney client who is having just the worst time trying to hire somebody. She wants a paralegal. That doesn't seem like it should be that tough. And so sometimes she runs the people by me. What do you think of XYZ? And I'm like, oh no, don't go there. So I can, pick up the energy of people that she's interviewing and tell her who's her best bet or what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I have a pretty good hit rate on that.
Awesome.
So I think my background is really interesting because I have marketing, I have business, I have healing, I have intuition, I have love, I have data. So, some people would say, well, you don't have any focus. But what it really does is gives me a very broad background to address whatever it is that you want or need.
You have a lot of tools in your toolbox.
A lot.
I think
Yeah.
that's super helpful when in this business for sure, because we're all just very different and multifaceted. And so that's a great thing. I also think that you're really good for people that want to have fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're fun. It's obvious.
Well, my feeling, this has just come to me recently. I did a lot of branding work in the fall. And so I started thinking, well, what makes me different? I've been looking and looking for that thing. And one of them is that, I like to make it fun. But what also came to me about that was that with all this new energy, the slog is not the only way anymore. Like learning does not have to be through painful repetition and fixing and fixing and thinking that everything you do is wrong and you have so much to correct. And that's not the only path anymore, which to me is so exciting
So
because you can learn and attract through joy. And when you listen to people who talk about manifesting, they do say that you have to elevate your vibration and you want to be the vibration of what you want to have and all that stuff. So it only makes sense that you can learn through joy. You don't have to go, the pain is not the only learning path at this time. And that gets me very excited.
oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So I have a group, the Magic Hour, and I want to start another group. So in the Magic Hour, we have fun. So we get together. The first thing we do is clear. Can't clear enough right now. There's, we pick up so much crap. Clear, clear, clear. And then we talk about how we're doing. And then we talk about what we want. So we might do an angel meditation, or we might connect with our magic, or we might do a future life meditation and visualize. We might write with our future self. There's so many ways to then go about doing whatever you want to do, whether it's to raise your vibration or attract something new or clear something out or whatever it is. And then we always end with some kind of blessing for the country. We spend a lot of time, blessing Ukraine and the Middle East and other areas. So it's a lot of different things, and we jam so much into 1 hour, and we get a lot done. It's a lot of it's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, very fun. That sounds great. Um, we are running a little bit short right now, but if you have any desire to come back and talk more, happy to have you. I'm going to put all your information again in the description around how people can find you. Um, I highly encourage people to take a look. She's got a lot, obviously very fun, as you can see. And I really do appreciate your very balanced approach to this.
Well,
I,
thank
you
you,
know,
Addie.
I do. I think that everyone's doing the best they can, but balance is one thing that I see is a little lacking in this industry still. So thanks for what you do.
Oh,
Like
thank
I said,
you.
come back anytime. Do you have anything else you want to add to this?
The last thing I want to say is that I want you to believe that you can have what you want and go after it and with as much fun as you can.
Absolutely.
Because why not? You know?
It's faster manifesting anyway. So
Yeah, and it's certainly more fun. So enjoy, find things that make you happy and do them.
a great place to end. Thank you so much. And hope to hear from you again.
All right, my pleasure.
All right. Take care.